Thank you very much for your kind introduction. Thanks to Gunnar for having broken the ice with the English-speaking panel. And thank you to the organizer for having invited me and EBC to this relevant event for our interests. What we are here to talk about is how to make BIM an SME-friendly tool, and I hope that during this discussion we will get some interesting debate and interesting ideas on how to proceed with BIM in an SME-friendly tool. Before I start with my presentation, let me give you a few figures about the construction sector in Europe. You can see here that around 99.9% of European organizations have less than 250 employees, which is already a quite relevant number. What is maybe more important to say is the fact that almost 92% of construction enterprises in Europe are micro enterprises, meaning having less than 10 employees. And they are responsible for about 80% of the construction industry output, 83% of the total workforce in this sector. They have the power to create local jobs, and on top of this, they have a huge influence and potential in increasing youth employment. And I do believe that these are key figures and key aspects to take into account in order to make this BIM challenge the most effective possible nowadays, but also in the future. I will present shortly EBC, the organization I work for, European Builders Confederation. As our kind host said before, we were established in 1990, representing in 2015 the year of our 25th anniversary, 16 members from 14 countries. In 2016, we welcomed 3 new members from 2 new European countries, namely Croatia and Hungary. And EBC network is a quite relevant one. We are talking about 2 million construction small and medium enterprises represented, covering all different trades in construction. Just let me name a few, maybe manufacturers and builders and installers of construction materials. We are financed by membership fees, also thanks to the cooperation of our Spanish members, NSE. And we also integrate our funds by participating to European financed projects. I was talking about European finance projects in which EBC is involved. Well, most important one in this sense is SBS, Small Business Standards. SBS is a newly created organization founded in December 2013, created to represent and defend small and medium enterprises' interest in standardization process at European and international level. SBS has 22 members from 33 European countries, covering 14 million of small and medium enterprises. Most of all, was the most important thing in order to be more effective in standardization, is partner of CEN and CENELEC, member of ETSI, and also established some liaison agreements with ISO, so standardization at international level. With about 55 experts, we cover 46 technical committees in 19 sectors, among which construction. So through SBS, EBC delegates an expert to CEN TC 442 on BIM. And I have to say that SBS and EBC involvement in CEN TC 442 is mainly oriented to avoid the development of standards that are only applicable by a small part of the market or driven by the commercial interests of a limited number of players. The involvement of EBC in standardization was the first step towards a more comprehensive SME approach with regards and positioning with regards to BIM. It's for this reason that in 2016, EBC organized its annual conference on innovation in construction, dealing with BIM, inviting chairman of the European BIM Task Group, European Commission, Spanish entrepreneurs, Italian professors from universities. And that's not the only activity we deal with BIM. We also participate to BIM events such this, and we are partner of BIM community. But then let me tell you why it is important for EBC to be here and to engage with the BIM community and pass small and medium enterprises positions in this. Because for sure it is important to anticipate and prepare for the challenges, but also the opportunities that the BIM sector provides for small and medium enterprises. Because SMEs have a key role to play in the future for a European competitive economy. And just to mention a few of these examples, the European Union is aiming for a 30% cut in energy consumption by 2030. Construction sector, transportation sector are especially the ones most responsible for energy consumption, and this gives absolutely us an added value to participate in this kind of activities. But not only, there is also an increasing interest and attention for energy efficiency and other environmental related issues dealing with the construction sector. Well, taking this in mind, BIM has to be adapted to the specific nature of small and medium companies. This is not the only reason. It's also because of the great added value of BIM for renovation projects, and also to raise SME position on BIM standardization by participating in CEN/TC 442. So which are the key points for an SME-friendly implementation of BIM? You will see that the points that I will present now have been discussed before, but will also be discussed in this nice environment, the Foro BIMEXPO tomorrow. And I've seen on your agenda that you will deal with training, with renovation, and these are absolutely themes of great importance for EBC and for us in this sector. Well, first of all, it's important for us to provide a different picture with regard to the use of BIM tools. We usually associate the use of BIM tools for buildings of extraordinary natures, while we have to keep in mind and stress on the use of those BIM tools for buildings that are more traditional, and also for renovation works in which small and medium enterprises are most involved. In order to do so, BIM tools have to be adapted to the building renovation market. I know here around we have many software developers. Well, this is absolutely an idea and an invite for you to contribute to this, because existing buildings constitute the main business segment of micro and small enterprises in construction, and we have seen of which market segment we are talking about. Moreover, promoting the adoption of BIM to facilitate higher energy efficiency and lower life cycle cost of buildings. Well, we already discussed about this before in many presentations, so I will move to the next point. Just mentioning that for us, the cost of digital model tools should be bearable for craft enterprises, both in terms of the price itself of the tool, but also in terms of training. Well, we have to keep in mind that it's important to develop well-designed and economically accessible digital model tools. Costs are always an issue for small and medium enterprises, or at least it's absolutely a key aspect that has even more relevance when the size of the company is not big. But also the need of trainings, and I'm really willing to see what is going to be discussed also tomorrow in this forum, because it's relevant to provide BIM trainings to construction workers and entrepreneurs. We have listened before to the intervention of S.BIM saying that the construction sector has already operated before. The most important actors and professionals are already there, but they must be trained and able to make this step and make this transition to BIM. You will always need installers, you will always need plumbers, you will always need manufacturers, but you will need BIM manufacturers, BIM installers, BIM plumbers. In order to do so, those those professionals must be integrated and they have to be facilitated in this process of being integrated within the entire BIM process. Another point is related to construction policies and standardization. Digital model tools cannot constitute ground for exclusion of small and medium enterprises and be prescriptive for particular products. In this regard, we really welcome the issuing of the European Public Procurement Directive. There were some interventions before about this. Someone was saying that the word in Article 22 of the Public Procurement Directive may, so the possibility to introduce BIM is not enough. I understand these positions, but on the other hand, and what was also said before, the soft landing is something that is so important, especially for small and medium enterprises, because not everybody is ready to pick this up. Nobody's opposing this. BIM is the present and the future, and SMEs want to be involved. But we have to make sure that this transition is going to be soft, so that all small and medium enterprises can embark in this revolution, in this BIM revolution. And finally, a point on policy and standardization is ensuring the SME representation in the standardization process of BIM. We have seen here many of you working in the CENTEC 442. It's important that SBS and small and medium enterprises are there in order to have the expectation of micro, small and medium enterprises represented there and help in designing a European standardized approach to BIM. Just to make an example, we were mentioning some of the standards before. There is one, the 19650-2, dealing with information management. Well, I had a look at it. It's quite thick. So already this is not an SME-friendly aspect, but you said complexity. In order to move forward, you still need complexity, fine. But when I took a look, and I'm sorry, I will really have to read about the different figures that are listed in this standard. We are talking about project sponsor, project information manager, project delivery manager, task team manager, interface manager, task information manager, where if you start counting, you will realize that the number that your fingers have raised is higher than the 92% of enterprises that operate on the European segment. That's why we need this transition, and I'm very glad that I can be there and participate to the SME positions in BIM standardization. Concluding with a few quotes, as also many of you did before. In 1907, Ford coupled the fortune of the car industry with the fortune of Americans, saying that what is good for Ford is good for America. About 60 years before, a member French of the parliament said, "Quand le bâtiment va, tout va," meaning when construction grows, everything grows. And on the same line, I have to say that EBC celebrated its 25th anniversary last year with this slogan, "What is good for SMEs is good for construction." And since BIM is the present and the future of construction, it goes without saying that SMEs are the key for BIM success in Europe. And we really look forward to contribute to this. Thank you very much.